I took some time along with Tony to give Gregg his respect, pay our respect to Gregg for taking a inexperienced, young, you could say U.S. soccer was dysfunctional at that time because of all of the hatred towards not qualifying for the World Cup in 2018. And he took this young, inexperienced group with a lot of potential, got them through World Cup qualifying, won Nations League, a Gold Cup, and then out of the group in the World Cup. And I think people need to respect that. And also think about, we wouldn't be in the position we are today if it wasn't for what he was able to do over that first cycle. So we should be grateful for that. Plus, he's a national team guy. So I think people should pay their respect in that manner.
I 100% agree. I want to thank Gregg for what he's done and for all the things that you mentioned. I think in some ways he maybe will look back and reflect on, maybe I should have got out after the first cycle. He was a hot commodity. He did a good job. We had the youngest team at the World Cup, and he got us out of the group, and we went toe-to-toe with the Dutch, who were just better than us on that day. Sure, he could have done a lot of things different. I'm sure he's reflected upon that quite a bit. And I think there was some hype around him, like, hey, this is a guy that's on the up and up. He can do a lot with a young team, and now he has a different reputation because he stuck around a little bit and things just didn't grow. And now he's going to have to work through that part of his development as a coach, I would say. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to take anything away from what he's done. I thought that, to your point, excellent in terms of transitioning an older team that didn't qualify for 2018 and then inheriting a lot of young players and getting them all to buy in and creating an incredible team culture that's still very strong and vibrant right now. And he needs to be credited for that. So yeah, I do want to thank him for that, but I think he just stayed on a little bit too long. And I know it's hard when you're in that position, it's going to be hard to let go. I mean, there's a lot of ego attached to that as well. And always trusting and thinking that you're the guy. If you didn't have that belief, then I wouldn't want him as coach either. So I'm very curious and to see where he ends up. And I hope he has a successful career, after he moves on to whatever's next. But yeah, it's time for somebody else to get a shot at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, facts. I think we're going to be welcoming in somebody who knows him very well. And drum roll, please. Oh, wow. Mike Grella, welcome.
Yeah, you guys back before guy to death, and now you're saying, "Oh, thank you for everything."
It's called balance, Grella. It's called balance.
No. Listen, I think knowing Gregg, the reality is, if you sat down with him and asked him, "Hey, what would you grade yourself? Are you happy with what's gone on? Are you happy with the results? Are you happy with the stamp you left?" I think you would be disappointed with the way things turned out. I don't know if you would say, "Look, it was my fault entirely." I think you would have some interesting answers, but I think he wouldn't be 100% proud of or 100% satisfied with the sort of from start to finish what it was in the end. I think he has very high expectations. He had really high standards, high ideas for what he wanted, and I don't think anyone could look at it and be like really excited or really happy with the bottom line at the end.
I'm interested in a couple of things that you said there. For me, the results speak for themselves, and that's the first thing that you're judged upon it. The coach. The second part is the performance thing. In the end, a lot of the national team, because you don't get to work with them every single day, it was hard to bring it into fruition, because these guys are all different stages. Some guys are fit, some guys are playing, some guys are not. You're dealing with a lot of egos and different perspectives. So I think from that standpoint, it's always difficult coming in for your first international experience. What would you say were his biggest successes, and what would say are some of the biggest disappointments?
I think you guys say it. I think at the end of the day, he came into a situation that was not very good, that was not very clean, that was all over the place. And there was a lot of excitement for his hire, for the people that did their research and found out who Gregg was and where he managed. And if you heard all the managers that would speak about him, I mean, some really good managers, I mentioned this before, but Tata Martino, I was there when we played a friendly against Atlanta in preseason, and some of the things he said to him and some of the things he said in the media about Gregg afterwards, the mutual respect there for the way he was able to read the game, play the game, make the game. I think he was one of my only managers in my career, and I've had way too many because I've been kicked off of 12 or 13. I've been part of 12 or 13 different teams. And he was one of the only managers that at halftime could look at something, make a change, and make the game better. So I think there is a lot of good. Obviously he's won things as well, right? So he did leave a little bit of a stamp and of a direction of the way he wanted to play, right? I think he was also an American coach that played in the system that, again, we were really excited to have. Now, where it went bad was obviously where he doesn't have the job indefinitely, and they're actively searching for better options. They can't find one, and they go back to him. I think that was the beginning of the end, and then all that stuff comes out, which is totally unnecessary. And obviously, hopefully, it's all swept behind now and under the carpet. But that's when it, for me, was just didn't look right, didn't feel right. And then the nail in the coffin was this Copa America result. I mean, no question about it. It was the Panama game where they didn't get 3 points. It was always going to be difficult against a Uruguay side that just doesn't give an inch. And ultimately, that was the nail in the coffin for Gregg. But I think it was shaky once he didn't have the job, and they were basically looking for other options. I think from there on out, it was never going to really work.
I'm getting hacked apparently because my internet is really slow. So thanks for everybody shouting me out. Kelly Broderick, free Charlie. Yeah, I need to be freed. Go ahead, Jimmy. Take it from here.
No, well, Grella, I wanted to ask you a question with regard to what Berhalter does now. I actually saw some early links to him going to Atlanta United. Do you think he immediately goes to take a job? Do you think he takes a little bit of time and reassesses his life and what he wants to do? I'm kind of curious as to your thoughts.
I think it's totally personal. So some people deal with it in different ways. Some people want the challenge right away. Some people don't. I think with Gregg, and I said this earlier as well, for me, he didn't do the best job with the national team. I think a change was time. I think it was the correct decision. But at the end of the day, it remains the fact that he's one of the top managers in this country. The way he looks at the game, the way he the way he does trainings, the way he pays so much attention to detail, and then on a human level, he's a really good guy. Keeps in touch with his former players. He cares about people. He knows everyone's names. He knows their families' names. This is a top guy. This is a top manager. He, like I said, is the only manager that can look at a game and tactically and is really, really at a high level. So if you want to take the Atlanta job,
are you trying to be on his staff, Grella?
What's that?
Yeah, what's going on here? Are you trying to make moves?
You trying to get on that Atlanta staff?
See,
get on that Atlanta staff?
Yeah. No, but what I'm seeing is like a lot of, and I'm one of them saying, look, it wasn't good enough, time for a change. I get it. I understand all that. But I think a lot of neutral fans or a lot of sort of casual fans don't really know what this guy is like behind scenes, what he's like to work with on the daily. So I think he'll have plenty of options. Whether he jumps into one right away or not, we'll see. But wherever he goes, he's going to do a good job. And I think he'll probably look forward to being at a club level where he can be with the guys every single day because he likes to have that level of control, that level of detail in the way he wants to play. And I think he's more comfortable in that situation. And we've seen that across the board. We've seen managers that are good at the international level, and then we see managers that are good at the club level. I think he's probably one of those that is better at the club level.
All right. Mike Grella, we appreciate you. That's some good insight because none of us got to play with Gregg Berhalter. I got to play with him,
really
but
good
not coached
insight.
by him.
And now we know you want to join his staff as well, so it's good.
Yeah, you never know, man. You never know when your last payday is coming.
Well, we know some people that might control your last payday, so we'll have to put in a good word for you.
Hey, Jimmy, love watching you, man. You're doing a great job.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. And I love you scoring bangers at TST. Let's keep that up for next year, huh?
I had my eyes closed, man.